Hey, Tim Sykes, millionaire mentor and trader here with a very basic lesson on brokers. Over the years, I've used dozens of various brokers. I've tried to, use brokers that have better shares to short. I've tried to save money on some brokers with, the cheapest commissions. I've tried brokers that charge the most commissions and seeing if there was any value in that. It's always an evolution. There's never a perfect broker. This is one thing that I've learned. So first, be aware that you're going to probably have to change brokers over the course of your career, whether it's a year or 2 years or every 5 years. Just don't get married to any broker. Start thinking about, okay, brokers can be good for a few months or a few years, but then something happens and their quality goes down, or maybe their quality is okay, but something better comes along. I get a ton of questions about the brokers I use. First of all, I don't get paid by the top, brokers that I use. As like referral commissions or anything like that. I just use them. I recommend them. They're not perfect. In fact, the top two brokers that I use, E-Trade and Interactive Brokers, they both kind of hate me because I teach my students not to trade as much as you think you need to. If you look at my top students and I, especially myself, speaking from experience, the best trades come about only every few days or every few weeks. And these amazing trades are worth waiting for. So you don't need to trade every day. And in fact, you probably shouldn't trade every day. A lot of people ask me, why do I travel so much? Partially to control my over trading. I'm a trading addict. Hello, my name is Tim. And yes, I am a trading addict. It's good to admit it. And it's good to recognize it and then see what you can do to limit your trading. I feel better about myself when I make a few $100s or a few $1,000s on the day. It's stupid. It's a bad thing to be. The money that I make or lose on a day should not affect my overall emotional state or self-confidence. And yet it does. I'm always looking for trades, but I shouldn't try to crave that feeling that, superiority would be like, look around all these 9-to-5ers working so hard and I made $2,000. Like, I feel good. I've done that in the past. It's stupid. If you're always craving action, you'll take worse trades. So E-Trade, Interactive Brokers, again, they don't pay me. I have no IB agreement. There are some people out there that are like, show me your IB agreement with E-Trade. I don't make a dime off them. I just use them. Those are my top two brokers right now in 2017 and probably 2018 too. I've written some blog posts that I think winter is coming. If you're a fan of Game of Thrones, winter is coming after too many seasons in Game of Thrones, and winter is coming in the stock market. I don't know when, but I think that a bear market is around the corner. And more important than just a bear market, I think there's going to be regulations with brokers. There's a lot of sketchy brokers out there, offshore, hedge funds, prop firms, very dangerous. Some brokers are better than others. Some brokers are like, oh, we'll give you, all this leverage or we have better availability for shorts. To me, it's not worth the risk of being in some of these questionable brokers, even like startup brokers that are just small. If we do have a bear market, if we do have a market crash, a lot of these brokers will go bankrupt. A lot of these prop firms and hedge funds will shut down. And because of the way that they're structured, they're not big, multi-billion-dollar brokers like E-Trade and Interactive Brokers. You will lose all of your money. You could probably try to get some of it back in court. It'll be questionable. I've seen prop firms shut down overnight. The most famous example is Oliver Velez. I know that he claims to teach and I don't know. He claims a lot of things. All I know is that one day, roughly 12 of my students canceled. And, I usually work pretty hard. I send out a watch list, a video lesson nearly every day. I try to make good trades. Sometimes they don't work out. But more times than not, I don't have 12 people canceling in a day. So I emailed these 12 people. I was like, what's up? I didn't do a bad trade. I didn't give terrible advice. Why are you canceling? And I think 9 or 10 out of 12 replied pretty quickly being like, Tim, I like you, but I have no money anymore. And I was like, what are you talking about? Did you forget rule number 1 about cutting losses quickly? And they said, no, they were in the prop firm headed by Oliver Velez, and they got an email overnight or they logged in and they saw their balance was 0. And this was a few years ago. Some of the people did get back some of their money. I know not everybody got back all of their money. And I know some of the people didn't get any of their money back. When you join a prop firm, when you join these, questionable brokers, where you try to cut corners because you get more leverage, you get more borrows, you can avoid the PDT rule. I know it sounds tempting, but you can lose everything in the blink of an eye. And it usually happens overnight. You can't cut losses. You don't get a warning like, oh, this broker is shutting down next week. You don't get a week to take your money out. It's just gone. And a lot of the agreements that you sign, they're like 5, 10, 20, 30 pages long. You basically have signed away your life and any potential gains that you can get in court. And even if you do get the money back or partial money back in court, it's going to take months and years. You're going to miss out on opportunities. I want to warn you before it happens to you because, frankly, it sucked. These were, these 12 students, they were good people. They didn't deserve to have all their money ripped away from them. But that's the industry. Oliver said it was like his partner's fault. His partner blamed Oliver. I don't know. I don't care whose fault it is. I care about my students. I care about, potentially losing all your money. It doesn't matter how good of a trader you are. If your broker gets shut down, if you can't get the money back, you lose everything. And then you're out of the game. And more importantly, you're missing out on opportunities. There's opportunity costs when you're out of the game. You miss out on good trades. I know there's a popular broker called Robinhood that has, free commissions. And a lot of people are like, well, I'm tired of paying, $5, $6, $7 per trade. I mean, I have a small account. This makes sense. And yet Robinhood, from what I've seen with students, and again, I just react to students. I hear horror stories where they lose hundreds or even thousands of dollars on bad executions. So you save your $5 on an execution, and then you get a crappy execution that costs you, like $100 or $200. Like you can't short sell, or there's no after hours, or something screwy happened. You get what you pay for in this world. That's why I like safety. E-Trade and Interactive Brokers. Neither of them are perfect. E-Trade does not work with far too many countries. I have students in nearly 100 countries now. I'm sorry to a lot of you guys. E-Trade doesn't want you, or they can't handle you. Maybe they want you or whatever, but they're not in those countries. Interactive Brokers is in a lot of countries, but their minimums are a little higher. If you're under the age of 26, I believe the minimum is $3,000. If you're over, I believe the minimum is $10,000. But talk with Interactive Brokers. Every country is different. E-Trade's minimum is just $500. But the reason why I use these brokers, E-Trade actually has really good customer service. Interactive Brokers, not so much. Interactive Brokers doesn't really want to work with people with small accounts. I'm sorry. I'm watching the market too. I'm multitasking here. But Interactive Brokers is better for shorting stocks under $2 a share. E-Trade actually has pretty good borrows if you want to short stocks between like $2 and $10 a share. Just on the whole, again, sometimes Interactive Brokers will have shares to short of something. E-Trade won't. Sometimes they'll both have it. If you're going long, it doesn't really matter. So I guess if you're going long, I would even be open to doing just Scottrade. But Scottrade is terrible for shorting, and I've heard some horror stories there. But really, I would avoid prop firms, offshore brokers, and Robinhood. I'm sorry to single out Robinhood. I would love, a free broker to do well. But, if you're offering free services, you have to cut corners on quality. They don't mean to give you bad executions. I'm sure they're trying their best. Maybe they'll improve in the future. But if you think about how much you're trying to save on commissions, it's just a marketing hook. They're just saying, oh, save on all these commissions. Well, but what about the executions? What about after hours? What about short selling? You miss out on the best opportunities because you're so worried about the little things. And I'll tell you, I've never met, a coupon clipper to become a millionaire or a multimillionaire. They have the wrong mindset. You're focusing on little things. You have to win the battle and afford to lose, or win the war and afford to lose little battles. Commissions, I don't mind paying. Commissions are a part of the game. I'd rather have good executions. I'd rather have my money being safe. So I want to make this video before any prop firm or hedge fund or anything blows up. We'll timestamp this. This is marked. I have no idea if it'll happen or when it will happen. I do know it will happen in the next, year, 2 years, 5 years, 10 years. And I want it on I don't want it on my conscience. I want it on the record that I warned you. And I would rather be in a safe broker like E-Trade and Interactive Brokers. Even though they're both imperfect, they're safe. If they go under, then, the whole market, the whole system goes up in flames. So then we're all screwed. But it's very easy for a little prop firm or a hedge fund or an offshore broker to go under, and the rest of the industry is fine because these are weird little firms and it's just risky. So I don't want you taking unnecessary risks. Trading is hard enough. That's my little speech for today. I hope you enjoy it. Leave a comment underneath this video if you understand and say, I will be safe.